my name is Steven Sala, and this is my iBlast project. For my project, I'm going to be doing a basic tutorial on how to do some of the features as soon as you get your Mac. Like upon first setup, this is basically going to be what you need to do. So as soon as you turn on your Mac, it's going to ask you for some basic information. It's going to ask first what language. It'll ask what country you're in. It's going to ask, based on what country you're in, what keyboard format you'd like to use or what keyboard format you have. And it's going to ask for a Wi-Fi network. Now for me, it did not ask any of these things because this is not my initial setup. I have set this up before, and this is simply a new account. So it's not asking for the mandatory information, it's simply asking now for the information to set up my new account, not the information to actually run my Mac. There may be some other stuff as well, I'm not quite sure. I'm not acquainted with the Mac OS X Mountain Lion initial setup. I got mine on Lion, so that's the setup I did, and I couldn't find anything online that any videos showing the Mountain Lion setup, so I'm really just sort of going off of the Lion setup because I don't think it differed that much, if at all. But anyways, so this is the initial setup for personal information on new account. So first, it's going to ask for your Apple ID. You can sign in with a new one right here, or you can create a new one down here. I already have one, so I'm going to sign in with it. Alright, so I entered my Apple ID, and I just skipped over that because you have to provide your email. And also, I forgot to mention this, in the bottom right corner, you can actually skip that step if you want to set it up later. Here, you need to accept the terms and conditions, so I'm just going to hit agree. Here you need to set up iCloud. I already have iCloud set up on my main account, so I'm not going to bother setting it up here because this is just a temporary one for the sake of the project. And what iCloud is, if you didn't know, is it basically syncs all your information. So if you have with an iPhone, iPod Touch, iPad, or Mac, if you were, I don't know, if you were to say take a picture from your iPhone, if you have iCloud set up, it'll automatically send it to your Mac and to your iPad, and it works with a lot of things. So iCloud basically just syncs everything, and you can save documents to cloud and such, which I do. Even though I do not have an iPhone or iPad, it's easier because although you'll need internet, it does not take up space on your Mac. You're saving it to the internet. So, just a suggestion. Messaging, people can contact you on all your devices. So this is something else where you can, where iCloud sort of works with contacts and stuff. Again, I have FaceTime set up on my main account. I do not need it here. Okay. And the Mac is ready to use. So I'm going to hit start using your Mac, and this is OS X 10.8.2 Mountain Lion. This is the newest OS X available on the Macintosh computer. All apps I'm currently running are up to date. I made sure of that on my main account. So I'm going to cut to my actually recording from my computer screen in a moment here. But yeah, this is basically what you will initially get upon starting up your Mac. You have your dock down here, and I'll go into more detail. Hotbar, and then like I said, I'm running 10.8.2. If you're running anything prior to 10.8.2, you can check by going up here and going about this Mac. It's the first option, and if you see there, it'll say your software. So for me, it's 10.8.2. If you've bought it since I believe it's the end of July of 2012, you will be running 10.8 unless you go on that shipped before that. So you may be running 10.8.1 or 10.8.2. For the sake of this video, if you are running 10.8 or 10.8.1, the first thing you want to do is open the App Store, and you want to update it, and I'll show you that later on when I'm recording my actual computer screen. So yeah, with that, I'm just going to start recording on my actual computer, so I'll be right back. So, like I said, the first thing you want to do is update your software just before anything else, because I am doing this tutorial on Mac OS X 10.2. So we're on the same page basically. What you want to do is go into the App Store. And if there are any app updates, it'll show right here. So I'm just going to give it a minute to load. Okay. You'll have to sign in with your Apple ID. And then just click on updates here. And they'll check. Now I shouldn't have any updates. Okay, well I'm just going to let that check. Anyways, so if you have any updates, say if you're running 10.8 or 10.11, yeah, no updates. It will say at the top, anything associated with your operating software will always be on the top up here. It'll be the first thing. If you have any other apps to display, it'll always be below that. At the top is always going to be anything relating to your operating system. So if you don't have anything there, or even if you do, just update. Always do the operating system ones first because other apps obviously rely on that. And then after that, you can go ahead and do other system updates if you need to. So this is what you're going to see after you update. Before your update or after your update, you will have this. Your iTunes might be different if you don't update. I'm running iTunes 11 point something, I forget what it is, but I'm running the newest version of everything, so just make sure you update it all. So at the bottom is your dock. You have the Finder, which is basically the control panel, I believe it's called, in Windows. I don't use PC much, so I'm sorry, I'm quite uninformed. And you'll have your files, applications, AirDrop to send files wirelessly to other Macs, your desktop, obviously I have nothing saved, documents, downloads, about downloads, so that's just a file that comes with it, movies, and the reason I have something there is because that's just this file that I'm recording right now, pictures and music. And also after documents, a new file will pop up here that has quick access to documents. So anyway, and then up here you have your hotbar, you have the Apple sign, so you can get about this Mac software update. Before that, I bring up its own window. Now it simply brings you to the App Store. System preferences, the dock, so quick settings for the dock, recent items you've opened, to force quit the application you're on. Finder, you cannot force quit. Finder is always open. There's nothing you can do about that. Sleep, restart, shutdown, and log out iBlast, which is the name of my account. And then these are all preferences for the app you are currently on. So if I quickly open, say, system settings or system preferences, it'll now be tools for system preferences. Up here you have, well, this is just my recording software, so that wouldn't be there. Time Machine, which is your backup to an external hard drive. So mine just has an exclamation point because I haven't backed up my files for a while. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, how high your audio is, your battery, if it's charging or not. If it is fully charged, it'll show a plug. The day, your name, and if you click on it, you can get to other accounts. Search bar, spotlight, so you'll be able to search for files quickly. And something new in Mountain Lion, notification center. So if you hook this up to like your mail or whatever, it'll show mail here and they'll just pop up in the corner and then disappear after a few seconds. So that's basically it about getting acquainted from what you first see. Now we'll go on to starting to set things up. Alright, so now that you're acquainted, I'm going to show you Launchpad. This is something that it was released with OS X 10.7 Lion, and it's basically just all of the apps on your Mac. So this is what you will initially get. You'll get all of these. Chess, as you see, is the game that comes with it, and you will get all of these with your Mac. This is what you get right off the bat. This here is iLife, iPhoto, iMovie, and GarageBand. I believe once you open the App Store, I believe you have to synchronize it with your account. I believe that's what I had to do. Synchronize it with your account, and then that way it'll be eligible for updates and such, but I believe it is pre-installed. And then over here, you won't have these, but these are simply my own apps. See, those are 3 dots here. See, it's just my own stuff. from my main account. That's the thing. If you install an app on like an admin account, it'll go to all other accounts, even though this one is also admin, because it's all linked. But this is the initial what you will get. Next is mission control. This is your desktop, so you can have multiple desktops open at once. And then over here is your dashboard. So right now, this is what it comes with. And you can add more stuff here, as well as download more widgets, as they're called, from the internet. Okay, Safari, that's the web browser. I'll get to that later. Mail is what you want to set up. This is the main point of this here. So, this is Mail. This is basically the equivalency of Outlook Express on the Mac. So for email address, I'm not going to set it up simply because I already have it set up on my main account and I don't need it set up here. Okay, so quit that. Next you have contacts, calendar, reminders, notes and messages. You have FaceTime, which is the video chat with people who have other Apple devices. So a Mac, iPad, iPod Touch, or iPhone. If somebody's on like a PC or whatever, you'll need to get Skype or some other form of video chat. By Skype's probably one of the most common. Photo booth to take pictures. iPhoto has basic photo editing. To my knowledge, I've never really used it. It might be okay, but I have my own called Snapheal that I bought. iTunes, App Store, and System Preferences. So quickly, I'm going to go to Contacts just to show you. Okay, so you already have Apple Inc., and then you have yourself, Calendar, Reminders, Notes, Messages. I'm not going to set that up right now, but that is to send messages to... Okay, you know what, that's not going to work, so I'm just going to quit. It's to send messages to... Again, any Apple devices. Apple seems to like to keep things to themselves. And yeah, that'll work for iPod Touch, iPhone, iPad, and Mac. And it's basically a free texting service. I believe on iPhone as well, if it's to other Apple devices. It's free, but don't take my word on that because I don't have an iPhone. Calendar and reminders and notes. iTunes and App Store are basically the same. Agreed to the terms of agreement. And what I mean by the same is not they sell the same things, they sell very different things. App Store is apps for the Mac, iTunes is basically everything else. It's apps for iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, music, movies, all that. But, I mean they're the same in terms of, you know, they work generally the same. Like with purchasing and stuff, they're going to be linked to the same account. So really, if you know how to use one, you know how to use the other. So here is iTunes 11. It's just simply telling you the differences because they haven't changed it for a while. Okay, you're going to agree. Here, you can scan for music, I believe, in the cloud, or go to the iTunes store. And so I'm just going to go to the iTunes store. And here's the new store. If you have not seen it, I'm not going to go through it. Simply because that would take too long. But, yeah, all you have to do is just go here under Store, and you can sign in. Same goes for the App Store. Now, one thing I should say is quitting. With a lot of apps on the Mac, simply pressing X will not quit the application like it would on a Windows computer. It does not end it. For example, if I use Mail, which you saw, close, there's still the blue light signifying that the file is in fact open. So it will be eating at your RAM and such and will still be working in the background. You simply don't have the physical window open. So yeah, it will signify that it is in fact open. So what you need to do, okay, so pressing the X, as you see, it is still in fact open, as signified by the blue light and by the hotbar. If I click here, it automatically goes to Finder because I didn't click on any physical window. But iTunes is still open. To close it, you have three options. One is to right-click it, or 2 fingers on your trackpad, and click Quit. The second one is click on it, and then hit Command Q. That will close it. And your third is click iTunes, and click Quit iTunes. And as you saw there, it showed Command Q as the hotkey shortcut, or hot keys, I suppose. So yeah, that's basically it for setting up. There really isn't much else to set up here, as these are all linked together. Those two are basically the same. FaceTime is very similar to messages in terms of setup. You just enter your ID and your Apple ID, because that'll also be your email, and people can call you there, as well as contact you on messages. And Game Center is really the only other thing to set up. Game Center is something new in Mountain Lion, although it was originally on iOS devices, which is the portable Apple devices. To sign in with your Apple ID and password, or create a new one, but at this point, unless you skipped everything before, then you should have one. Sign in, and you'll have Game Center. Of course, if you don't have any games, which I do, as you can see, if you don't have any games, you don't need to worry about that. So yeah, that's basically it for starting to set up everything, and now I'm just going to go into some more detail about the Mac. Alright, so now that I've generally shown you the main features of the Mac, I'm just going to go into a bit more detail on all of them, starting with Safari. Now, I'm not sure, I guess they got rid of it, but before, there used to be a cool little intro on Safari. I suppose they got rid of it. So, what you see here is, allow me to double check this quickly, I believe it's Safari 6.0.1. My apologies, 6.0.2. So, this is the newest version of Safari. And what you have here is the URL/search bar. Rather than having the search bar here, like in Safari 5, and the URL here is simply now one search bar. Your initial search engine is Google, however, you can change that under the settings. You have tabs here, which you can also open with Command T. And here, if you zoom out with two fingers pinched together, you can see all your tabs, as well as you can just simply click right here. So I'm just going to close that, as I only need one tab. So it's automatically, your main home page is going to be the Apple News page. However, you can change that. You're also going to have some popular sites here. Apple and iCloud, of course, because those are Apple sites. Facebook, Twitter, Wikipedia, Yahoo. News, you have some popular news websites. And then just more popular websites. So, that's really it for Safari. I mean, it's a web browser. There isn't really anything else special to explain. Actually, no, there is. My apologies. So this will bring you to, I don't know what you would call this, but it's basically your top sites. So obviously, I've not been to any sites, so it's just showing the sites it's providing me with here. But as you start going to sites, it'll show, it says these are the top sites, but I find that even visiting a site like once or twice will really show it up here. I don't know what determines it. And then your history, of course, I have the one site that I went to. Next is bookmarks, right here, history, bookmarks, and bookmarks menu, which you can also access from up here. And one of the most important things and very useful is called reading list. So what reading list is, it'll allow me to add that page there, and what it'll do is it'll now let me view that page offline. So if I go here and I turn off Wi-Fi, I can still view this page. I can still load it, and that'll work with any page that's not like a video or something that has to be streamed from the internet. Of course, I'm going to turn this back on because I need it. So yeah, it's very useful, so I'm just going to clear that. So yeah, that's really all there is to Safari. One more thing. Sorry, I keep finding more stuff that I don't mention. And as you can see, it says offline because I am currently offline. But if I reload this, just give it a couple tries as it connects to Wi-Fi again. Okay. One thing is called Reader. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Wikipedia, click Reader, and it'll just simply show pictures and text. It will not show anything of this, languages, or ads, whatever. It'll get rid of all that and only show the text and pictures. So yeah, that's Safari. Close this and quit. There isn't really too much to show you. I mean, from here, like, this is basically the main setup. but you sort of need to personalize it yourself, so to speak. There isn't really much I can actually show. iPhoto to sync your pictures. You can also sync it with Facebook or Twitter, whatever, and post it directly onto those sites. There we go. So if you put in your SD card, this will be the default program that comes up. Would you like to see your photos on app? No. This will be the default program that comes up, and it will be imported here, but you can choose a different app if you'd like. And so yeah, that's really all there is to it. I mean, FaceTime and messages, like I said, I'm not going to set it up right now. Because it's basically the same as mail. Messages and FaceTime are going to be the same. See, if you look here, all you have to do is put email and password for your Apple ID. Yeah, so that's really all there is to it. Once you put this in, you're on FaceTime. Once you put this in, there might be a couple things to sync on them, but otherwise there really isn't going to be that much of a difference, so it's not really necessary to show it. Okay, and that's all there is for that. Next, I'm just going to show the settings because there is a lot to do with settings. Alright, so next we're going to go under settings, or system preferences, but I mean, most people call it settings. And here you have various things. Other Flash Player, because I do have Flash Player installed. I suggest getting that installed. Very many websites run on Flash Player or use it in some way, shape, or form. So Flash Player is like pretty much mandatory, not mandatory, but highly suggested. There was an Adobe Flash Player virus that went around. Some hackers distributed a virus via an Adobe Flash Player update, but that was a while ago. It's been taken care of. It's all up to date. And yeah, Apple released a protection against it, an antivirus. So the Macs will have that installed. Don't worry, Flash Player is safe now. So here you have personal, you have general, which is to change, the color up here when you select something, scroll bars and such. Desktop and screensaver, which is self-explanatory. Dock to edit the dock, also self-explanatory. Mission control, obviously, edit mission control. Language and text, security and privacy. Spotlight, which is to search files. And notifications. Here's where you probably want to go to synchronize programs. Actually, no, you don't synchronize in here. You'll synchronize programs with notifications, I believe, from the program. And this just shows what programs are synchronized and how they are synchronized. So this has badges, sounds, alerts. This one's banners, 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 alerts, banners. So you can choose none, banners, or alerts. I have, yeah. So you can choose it. If I want to, I could put all alerts or all banners, or just none, and it'll just show up here and won't pop up and disturb me. Sorry, I want to go back. Hardware, CDs, DVDs, displays, energy saver, keyboard, mouse, trackpad, print and scan, sound. Again, all self-explanatory. Here you have iCloud, mail, contacts, and calendars, network, Bluetooth, and sharing. This is where I want to show some things. So iCloud, if you go here, you can sign in with your Apple ID and synchronize it. I'm not going to do that because I have it synced on my main account. This is the big thing. Mail, contact, and calendars. So here, I can also register iCloud. Again, I'm not going to do that. Microsoft Exchange. I'm not quite sure what that is. Gmail, Twitter, Facebook, Yahoo, AOL, Vimeo, Flickr, and other. So other would be a mail account, messages, calendar, contact card, LDAP account, or an OS X server account. So one thing I use is Facebook. So you can synchronize it, username and password. And then it'll synchronize also with calendar. So it'll show like friends' birthdays and stuff if they've given it out on Facebook. And also, like, if they comment on posts or whatever, it'll show it there. So that's pretty useful. I highly suggest doing this because it just incorporates everything into one and just helps it to work so much better with each other. Again, that's entirely up to you, though. But if you don't like your Facebook notifications popping up, but you'd still, like them to be here but you don't want the alerts, scroll up, show alerts and banners, and you can go off, and they'll resume the next day, just by default. And then that just disappears, but it is still there, of course. System, users and groups, parental controls. Parental controls are to manage any normal account or the guest account. Admins are the ones that have control over this, or somebody with an admin name and password. So even if you're on the guest account, you can manage it if you have the admin name and password. Date and time, software update again, which will bring you to the App Store. Dictation, which I will look at in a second. Time machine, again to back up. Accessibility, and start this. So accessibility is, I believe, for, well, you know, people with disabilities. So it can make things bigger for people with hard seeing and such. And just basically, I'm guessing it helps with most disabilities. Yeah, speakable, keyboard, mouse, and such. Startup disk, which is to select what you start up with, and then flash player. So what I want to go over is dictation and speech. Now, dictation is something introduced in Mountain Lion, but was originally on iOS in the form of, well, incorporated, I will say, into Siri. I'm not sure if it was around before Siri, but it's definitely around now. What dictation is if you speak, it'll turn what you say into words. So I'm almost certain that's on the iOS devices. But I believe dictation has been upgraded on the iOS devices to be part of Siri. I'm not sure, because I don't have any iOS devices myself. Yeah, so if I were to speak something, for example, let me just go into Safari quick. Now, it doesn't work perfectly, but it is pretty good, so if it gets it wrong, whatever. Oh. I did not enable it. Wikipedia. There we go. So it worked just perfectly that time. Let's try something else. Apple. There we go. And we can just hit enter and it'll work. Now, and I'm not sure if there's a limit to it, but you can really say like anything. Like, it doesn't have to be simple like that. It can be like, I don't know. Rumors about the Xbox 720. And there we go. So yeah, it works pretty good. It does mess up sometimes though, but it works pretty good. And so is text to speech there, or sorry, no, dictation is speech to text. And then this is text to speech. So if you want to change something written and have it read to you, you can just mess with that here. That's really all there is to it. Basically, when you Mac, you know, update your software, you got the hotbar, you got the dock, you have mission control, you have Launchpad with your apps. I showed, you know, how to set these up, and then just explain these two, because really they are basically the same as setting up mail, or more or less the same. They might be quicker and easier. App Store and iTunes, again, just sign in with your Apple ID. Accept the terms and conditions. iTunes, I believe you have to on the App Store as well. You'll need to provide personal information. So like first name, last name, etc. And then, yeah, dictation, synchronizing accounts with your Mac so it all just works better together. The dictation, so speech to text, Safari 6, that's really the main features. Otherwise, like, all these are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, like mail, you know, you'll have your inbox on the left and such, and you can go through that inbox, junk, spam, all that. But yeah, like really, there isn't a whole lot to explain because Macs are very user-friendly. There really isn't much. I mean, there's more stuff you can do. I mean, here you have much more complicated things. System information to get into more detail. Terminal. I think I've only used that maybe once, and I forget what that was for. It was probably like for some support thing. Disk utility. This is something you might want to do every once in a while. Disk utility, it'll gather disk information about your hard disk or hard drive, whatever you want to call it. And what you want to do, like when I say once in a while, like really, once every few months is probably okay. Just go verify disk permissions. And if, like, really anything out of the ordinary comes up, and by out of the ordinary, I really just mean, like, anything that says,
oh, so-and-so is blank, but it should be blank, go repair disk permissions and it'll fix that. It'll restore it to the correct permissions for Apple installed files and folders. So it won't affect like Adobe and such, but like if something's wrong with iTunes, it'll fix that. On Pages once, which is basically the Apple version of Word, which you have to buy for $19.99 on the App Store. I do have it here, right there, Pages, and Numbers is basically Excel, and I have no idea where Keynote is. Keynote is basically PowerPoint. Those are all part of iWork. Yeah, repair disk permissions will fix that. One time I had a problem with Pages. It wasn't letting me save anything. Repair disk permissions fixed that. So, every few months, only if there's something wrong. If you go verify disk permissions and there's nothing wrong, no biggie. Like, you don't need to do anything. Right off the bat, so you will have to buy Pages or a Word document if you'd like, but you will initially have text edit, which is, like, really basic, like, horrible. Well, I don't know if it's horrible, but you are so limited like that compared to, allow me to open Pages here. There we go. So, obviously, many more templates. I usually just go for blank, though. And as you can see, I mean, right off the bat, you can see how much more organized and tidy Pages is over text edit. You have basically the same thing, but it's more like elegant with graphs and stuff. You have them here in Spectrum Media Colors. It's just much better than text edit. You can do so much more with it. As well, so that's basically the upgrade version. For Keynote and Pages, Keynote and Numbers, you really don't have anything. And then for iLife, you can get more advanced versions. GarageBand has a more advanced version. iMovie is Final Cut Pro, which is $300. iPhoto is Aperture, which is $80. And if I can check quickly here, what's it called? GarageBand. GarageBand's more advanced version is, I believe, called Music Studio. Sorry, there are two more advanced versions for it. One is Main Stage, which is $30, I believe. That's a more advanced version. I'm not exactly sure. I really don't have that. I have no interest in it. And the other one, Logic Pro, which is the more advanced version of it. So I'm not sure what Main Stage does. And then Motion and Compressor, which are $100 together, work with Final Cut Pro. So basically $400 for the three programs. And I mean, I'm not sure if it's worth it or not, but it's much more advanced than iMovie. Though iMovie itself is still very good, so I can't even imagine Final Cut Pro's like professional. But yeah, that's oh, and one more thing to note, Mountain Lion, so I bought it on my main account, so that's why it has the price here. After you buy it though, it'll just say install, even if you have installed, I believe. That's just something it does. And also FaceTime, it gives you the option to buy it, even though you already have it. Those are just a couple things. So, I mean, Mountain Lion, I already have it. FaceTime, I already have it, but it just doesn't show it. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. You basically know how to use your Mac. Just set up messages and FaceTime yourself if you want to. And then, yeah, you're basically set. There really isn't anything else to do with the Mac that I need to explain. I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. If you want to change your desktop, I mean, it's right-click, it's right there, just like a PC would. It'll open the settings, and boom, there you go. So there really isn't a whole lot to explain, because the Mac is just so user-friendly. That's what people like about Apple. It's basic and user-friendly. I mean, you can get more advanced with, like, this stuff, most of which I've never used. But otherwise, I mean, it's pretty basic. It's really self-explanatory. You can just do everything yourself. There isn't a whole lot to worry about, really. So yeah, that's basically the intro for your, or sorry, not the intro. That is the video for your first time initial Mac setup. So I hope this helps. If you did in fact use it, and yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching.